Hello, brothers and sisters. I wanted to talk about God and creation versus relativism. God is the author and judge of objective reality. He created objective reality and nature to be peaceful, to operate under a peaceful standard of natural rules as He pleases. What God says is how it will be. He is the Alpha and Omega, the Prince of Peace. There can be a certain amount of subjective reality inside of His objective creation, in perspective to different cultures and their own chosen traditions. However, not all of creation is subjective or relative, as everything collapses back into God's objective rules of nature. Sure, God could change the rules of nature, such as men being able to produce other men with a uterus through their belly buttons, but that's not how God created us or reality. God created woman for man and man for woman. There is no other way around this. God is the author of objective reality and nature, the way He pleases, and not the way we humans or the angels want it to be. Before Adam and Eve fell into sin, God intended His creation to go forth and multiply without knowing good or its evil counterpart, sin, the way God authored it. He wanted Adam and Eve to live in peaceful existence with one another, but the snake, Satan Azazel, according to the book of Enoch, convinced Eve to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And in addition to the way God made Eden, as long as one loved one another, man between woman, 2 by 2, there was no reason not to marry a brother, sister, or cousin as long as it functioned naturally between an adult male and female, because the gene pool was perfect and there were no genetic defects to worry about. One could love their other half for as long as they lived without becoming jealous of anyone else or one another. Nor would they have to fight for resources so reproduction could continue freely without having to worry about having another kid to feed. Thus, both man and woman would be pleased with one another for a lifetime, which would be for eternity, and thus there would be no covetousness or cheating. Just natural reproduction between two lovers who were old enough to bear children, who would never have to part in death. Imagine a wife or husband whom you loved and found absolutely gorgeous, whom never aged, and you'd be able to be lovers for eternity. That's what God had originally intended for us, I believe. If you ask me, Servant Michael, personally, I do believe there are certain subset of godly divine rules to neutrality that is universal in all of creation, no matter what kind of creation. If God created some sort of cloud beings floating in the sky, it could probably be said that they shouldn't do unto another cloud beings as they wouldn't want to be done to them. A golden rule for cloud beings. This rule they'd follow naturally instead of being told to do so. The only reason why we humans are subject to sin is because we're in a closed environment after committing sin. We are in a container and quarantined by God to keep the sin nature or evil sin from spreading like cancer. You can't maintain natural equilibrium when one species is consuming far more than another, and there's a finite amount of resources unless everything was unlimited and freely shared. But we're now trapped under the firmament dome contained. The only way out is to be reborn in spirit by accepting God's Son, Jesus, God in the flesh, sacrifice on the cross to break our sin nature and be reborn in the spirit. We will either die and our reborn spirit will be put into an eternal body, or we will be raptured and our spirit will be put into an eternal body. The devil wanted to trap us and have us be quarantined by God so he could terraform his own subset of rules of creation as God, at the expense of all creation inside earth. But Satan will no longer be the little god of this world as soon as the great and terrible day of the Lord commences to correct all of his creation. Alright, amen, God bless, and take care.